Cool, man. I like it. I like it. I like what you're doing with the 22 push-ups every day.
Yeah, I got to do. I didn't do mine today. I'll probably do it right after this. So, yeah, man, just trying to bring some awareness to the veteran community. There's 22 veterans a day on average committing suicide.
Wow.
Around the effects of PTSD and whatnot. So, just working with some organizations to bring some more awareness to that.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate that. I got my buddy Jonathan Henderson's going to probably join us in a minute, and you haven't had the opportunity to meet him, but he comes down quite a bit. I want to connect you guys. A lot of good synergy there.
Good, awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So here's Jonathan coming on right now. He's doing mobile. He's mobilized. He's on his way down to Myrtle Beach right now.
Nice. So I'm just going to quickly preface, forgive the rubbing of the eyes and the itching these pollens are already getting to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, really. Well, our weather in Myrtle Beach has been so crazy lately.
Oh.
And I'm going to send Jonathan, a little message here. Having a little difficulty getting him on. Yeah, I appreciate you. Last week you did a rock out job for me, brother.
Yeah, great conversation, man. Had fun with those guys.
Yeah.
Let's see what we have going on.
All right. So, man, let's. I think we're about 2 minutes away. Chris, we'll get it going in a couple minutes. I am recording it. It's 2:00 hour. If anybody's on here right now, I think we got 8 people. Let's go ahead and in your upper left-hand corner, you should have a little tweet button, a little Facebook button. If you guys would go ahead and let your friends know that you're on with us. And let them know that they need to be on. We got a couple of experts going to be on here about the ABCs of closing the sale, and we're going to just talk about the naked truth about it. You know, for some people, just dipping their toes in the sale, it's not. You know, some people think it's an easy task. Sales is what drives our economy. It is one of the most important professions, in my opinion, that is out there. And you need to be a professional when you're doing it. And I got Chris Hart on here, and I got Jonathan Henderson trying to get on. Both of these guys are super professionals, and they're going to tell us what their secrets are on how to do this thing. So you guys go ahead and let all your friends know. And look at my buddy Jay Hindu is on. He made it.
What's up? What's up, Cassidy?
Hey, brother. I love the fact you took some safety precautions, and you have a hired chauffeur today, driving you around.
Look at that. She's hot too.
Oh, it's
She's
awesome.
hot.
Well, Jonathan, you have never met my buddy Chris Hart. You heard me talk about him a few times. You know, Chris, I've seen him.
Pleasure meeting you, buddy.
What's up,
Seen
Chris?
him grow
Nice
his
to meet you,
business, and he's become a super stud in the real estate coaching business. Been trained by Tony Robbins himself, and some good stuff.
Uh-oh. Got a Robinator.
Man.
On today.
So,
I like it.
guys, let's go ahead and get it started. You know, this is the Naked Truth, and this is a series that we started to tell just no hold bar how it is raw about business. We talk all things about business, from entrepreneurship to communication skills to get outside your comfort zone. And today we're going to talk about the ABCs of closing the sale. You know, anybody that's ever been in sales understands 100% that the closing of the sales starts at the beginning. Right. So there's Gina. Gina's on, and
Yep.
I know my friend I know my other friend Jason Head is also trying to get on, and we're going to get Jason in a second. And Gina's she's in Texas, and she's sharing this with a bunch of people out there and showing them how Blab works. So, guys, welcome out in Texas. We appreciate it, and we're just talking about the ABCs of closing. So I'm going to open it up really quick. Chris, you do some coaching sales. Like I said, we sell marketing strategies here at Duplicates, and we start from the beginning, closing the sale, meaning that we cast vision to our customers and our clients of what it would look like if they had a successful campaign. Would you talk a little bit about closing the sales?
Me? You want me to start?
Chris Hart. Yes, Chris Hart.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so closing the sale for us is really about really understanding what closing means, right? And so when I coach students and clients through sales scripts coaching and whatnot, we really dive into understanding what closing means. And for us, closing means gaining commitment, right? So, we've all heard always be closing. I saw that on the picture of the Blab for social media. So, it's always be closing. So when we look at closing, we're always gaining commitment, right? And when you're looking to close for the sale, then you're looking to gain commitment for the sale. So what you have to ask yourself is, what are you trying to gain commitment on, right? And so closing is influencing people. And so how do we influence them? We influence them in the way of helping them get what they want when they want it. So it's a matter of understanding, or the process of conversation and dialogue is a matter of understanding what do they want, when do they want it. And once you understand that, then you attach your value proposition on the back end and gain commitment to move forward.
Right. Awesome. So it's showing them the value. I guess I want to just put it in a little bit more of layman's terms in case we got some folks that are just starting their sales career. Is that we listen because we got 2 ears. We listen twice as much as we talk. Right. I learned that from Gina. And what I understand is that when part of the closing process starts way in the beginning, to let those folks understand that the value proposition of dealing with a professional is that we are listening where most people aren't. Most salespeople are thinking about what they're going to say next. Right? Yeah. They want to hear their voice. They're and when I say salespeople, guys, I am one. So I'm speaking to myself. We are very egotistical. We want to hear our own voice, and we're in the spotlight. And it's taken a lot of development for me to push it off, right? And maybe doing this Blab is a way for me to get my ego back a little bit. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But I think it starts in the beginning when we listen and we let them know. Listen, we know what your problem is, and I'm a problem solver. Right. I'm going to bring on my other buddy, Jason Head. But Gina, will you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. You know how my feelings are about selling. It's not about selling. It's about creating relationships. And you hit it on the head, John. It's about really listening to people and hearing what the needs are and then finding solutions for them without shoving it in their face. But that's just my opinion of not being the hard, we lost John, of not being the hard sell. It's really about the listen, and there's more money to be made when you just sort of shut up and listen to people.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that's, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know if you heard all that, John, but we sort of talked about that last week, that the money is made in the silence and the money is made in the listen, because it really should never be in the mindset of a sell. It's in the mindset of providing a solution, providing a service that meets people's needs, and not being in such a mindset of I got to sell this and be stuck in my own head with my own agenda.
Right. And for our new viewers, just so you guys know, Gina, she has a very successful 3 different businesses. She is a entrepreneur princess queen, and she knows how to start businesses and how to go through them, and now how to help other people do the same. And she's in Texas right now with a whole team out there sharing what Blab is all about. And she introduced me to Blab along with John Foley. But I'm really super excited that Jason Head joined us for the first time on Blab. Jason's a long-time friend, and he's a super successful business person up in the upstate. He owns a couple different businesses, and he has just been really successful. And for a guy that is a family man and a Christian, but he knows how to do the selling process professionally. And Jason, thanks for coming on. And we're just sharing with people about the ABCs of the closing process. And you know, you talk from the front of a room. You lead a few thousand people in one of your businesses. You teach them how to start closing from the moment that they start listening. And if you just will elaborate a little bit about yourself and about how you do that, that'd be awesome. Because I did meet your wife, so I know you know how to close, dude.
Hey guys, nice to meet y'all. Been following and watching this, and it's been very helpful for me in my business, just watching and listening to you guys. What I learned a long time ago, years ago, how to start the close is with a smile. I mean, just simply a smile. People's got to like you and trust you. If you can earn their trust and they like you, just not being bored, you got to be exciting. I mean, they're going to follow you because you're exciting, and you got to be able to cast some kind of vision. But if I could throw one little tidbit in that has been real helpful for me is getting people to write something. But if you're trying to get them to sign on a dotted line, then you can lead to that. But having a pen and getting them to write something down, saying yes multiple times when you're talking to them about, you just have to talk to them about them. And like Gina and Chris was saying, listening to people. John, you taught me that a long time ago. The more you listen, the more people will tell you what you need to hear, how to close them. And you got to ask to sell at least 3 times. You got to ask them to buy at least 3 times on the sale. And know that they're going to say yes. You got to start off with the end in mind, knowing that they're going to say yes. In your mind, you got to be, thinking to yourself that if you don't do this with me, you're making the biggest financial mistake of your life. And that's
right.
That's a big, that's been a big help for me, is just, watching people. And it's really an art when you learn how to close, and it's fun. Once you kind of listen to people, you like what they're saying, and they feel that you are engaged in what they're saying, and you can't give them a half-hearted smile. You can't be looking around and not paying attention. And if you're making eye contact with them, that's another huge thing that I've learned is eye contact. Do not break eye contact. The first one to speak loses. A lot of you guys know that. That's been big. But I love listening and learning from you guys also. But
Right. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I mean, you sell one of the businesses you have sells to the car industry, the auto industry, the brand new auto dealers and used car dealers. And to sell those guys, you've got to know, you've got to have professionalism, right? It's not, it is not luck. In sales, there is no luck. There may be chance that you meet a person that makes decisions, but I have to tell you that there's no such thing as luck in sales. It's people love to buy. They don't want to be sold. So I think a good salesperson understands the art of listening. They understand the art of closing, and they understand the art of communications. And I think from the beginning of what you just said, and Chris, I think you practice this, is that when you meet with a client that you are 100% writing down notes yourself, right? Because that tells them that you're listening to them. But I think we cast vision as closers from the beginning of the whole communication process, is that we may meet with our friend Gina that is talking about doing a new marketing strategy. And I listen to I'll ask Gina, what is your definition of success with this marketing strategy? Now, Gina's going to go ahead and explain that to me, and I'm going to go ahead and write it out. Right. And let's just say that her success is that we've got 25 new customers from this marketing strategy or campaign that we're doing. So then my close starts. So Gina, if there was a way that I can show you how we can get you 25 or more new customers over the next 6 months, by implementing a couple little techniques, a couple strategies, and a couple direct mail pieces, would you be interested in looking at those options? What is Gina going to tell us at that moment?
Right, of course. I'm gonna say I want that, and I think you're hitting it on the head, John. Is like you have to start with the end in mind of what does that prospect want? What is their desired outcome, and how can you serve that up to them? So really getting down to what do they want, like that's where the listen comes in, because then you can craft the solution and the offer that's going to be customized to them, and you're validating their needs.
Gotcha. I got a question from.
By the way, John, I'll take 25 more customers if you can make that happen.
Well, if there was a way that I could show you that we could do that, can we sit down and have a quick meeting?
Yeah, let's get together next week.
Great. See, there you go. That's the simple process there. But I got to deliver. Let's not forget this, guys. Part of the closing process, I've got to deliver. I can't just show up and not have any ideas up my sleeve. This is work. You're not successful with sales just because you can talk fast or you can just communicate. You've got to be able to get all that stuff together and work it together in the puzzle. We've got a question from Katana 147, and let me go back up to it, guys. I don't know if you see it here. It says, closing means starting. Don't get it. So I think the question is, one of us talked about closing means starting, that we have to start the process. They don't get it. Chris, I think you may have talked about that, I think. If you did, you want to take that and elaborate on it for?
Yeah, absolutely. The closing process starts with the questions you start asking people, because that's like your setup, right? In tennis, you throw the ball up and then you whack it, right? You don't just walk in and just start whacking balls,
right?
And I think what happens is a lot of salespeople just come in and they go into sell and tell mode. So most people think that closing is the end. And in reality, closing starts at the very beginning by capturing all that meat that you were talking about, right? And so what you were saying a few minutes ago was asking what they want, or what did Gina want and when did she want it? And then you gave her a value option. Right? Most people go right into value proposition. Oh, here's what I can offer you. You gave a value option, which is if there was a way that you could achieve your goal when you want it, would you be interested? You see, that's an option. And then you attach the value proposition, which is what you propose. And all you do is just attach yourself to that value and say, well, if I possessed what you already said you would agree to, would you agree to meet with me? Right. And so all that starts on the front end by the questions you ask and then the process that you walk them through.
Right. Perfect. Well, one of the things that come up during the closing process, and once again, let's remember that the closing process starts at the beginning. We're not talking about the end. And I know we're going to reiterate that a couple times, but one of the things that come up throughout a closing process, and it can come up in the beginning and it can come up in the middle and come up at the end, is objections, right? So I think, I feel for me, those objections that come up, maybe it's that our energy doesn't connect. So if anybody's watching this blab right now and you've been in a sales meeting and first time you're seeing a customer and just the energy doesn't connect, right? You just are incompatible. You have to almost be to be the high level salesperson, like off the charts. You got to be a chameleon, right? You've got to be able to adapt, to listen, and to get on that common ground of anybody. And the biggest communication thing was what you said a couple blabs ago about listening. It's all the secrets there. And then you have to morph your way over. But objections, how do you close to objections? How many times have you gotten objections? And those objections usually no money, no resources, no time, gotta talk. If it's a small business that you're dealing with, I gotta go talk to my spouse or my business partner. And I think that a good salesperson in their closing process needs to be ready for all of those, and understanding that there's a variable out there that it's the curveball, it's the Murphy's Law that sometimes we're not ready for. You guys want to share any time that you've had a particular instance for you, or just elaborate a little bit on there, Gina?
Yeah, John, I'd really like to talk about that because oh, I thought that was my phone.
That's fine. I'm done turning it off.
You know, there are objections, you know, that we're always going to run into the money objection, the time objection, the authority objection of who makes the decision. And the reality is that people will find the time and the money for the things that they need and they want. I think it goes beyond objection. I prepare for objection. You know, I just lost a deal this week. And I knew going in I was going to lose it, if that makes sense, because I knew that the relationship wasn't there. So it goes beyond objections. It's people they can feel in their gut. I truly believe this. We're wired for, do I feel like this is the right person I should be working with? And people will find objections to not work with you. So if you have a really good relationship and you're really connected, they will find a way to overcome those objections. So step number one, you can prepare for objections, but step number two, which really should be step number one, is creating the relationship before you even get to the sale.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I love that. So anyone else want to talk about that really quick?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. You know, I have a different philosophy in the sales world than most people when it comes to the proverbial objections. I don't like to call them objections. I like to call them conditioned reflexes. Those are conditions, right? Like, I'm broke, I don't have time, you know, I'm small-minded, whatever their issues are that they're not agreeing with you. Those are just conditions. And what's happening is when the brain's processing the stimuli, all it's doing is it's reflexing a condition that already exists in their mind. Long before they even met with you, long before you even presented anything to them or proposed any sort of value to them, they already have in their mind that they're broke, they don't have time, etc. So what I look at is conditioned reflex or things that you're going to look to overcome their conditions. And I think in your sales field, whether you're in multi-level marketing, you're in real estate, or whatever business you're in, and you have a value proposition, whether it's a product or a service, you should already know what conditions are going to be presented to you, and you should already have propositions of value that help people overcome those things, and then put them into your proverbial presentation, right? So it's not waiting until you hear that they're broke or they have no time. It's saying, hey, John, you know what? You know, there are people out there that, you know, might have no time. They may be struggling financially, but here's where my product or my service can help people like that. Have you ever felt like you were in that situation before? Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm not saying they're broke. I'm not saying they don't have time, but I'm attaching that issue that I know they may have and bringing that awareness, and then I'm just handling it up front. So it never really becomes an objection. It's something I'm handling in my process.
Right. No, I think that's awesome. And I'm with Gina. I love that conditioned reflexes. I think Jason and I, we've talked about this before, and sometimes we talk about it, we refer to it as just default statements that people have. It is a reflex, right? It's whatever the salesperson says, there's boom, man, that's too high. That's too high compared to what? You know, that price is too high compared to what? But I love what you say, and I've seen Jason actually do this, is that he does a presentation and he addresses anything that may come up from the get-go in that. And then that's why he's super successful at what he does, is because he's done the process that you're talking of. And Jason, you want to talk about that, of how you learned the skill and what you did to hone it and sharpen it?
Yeah, one of the companies I own is a paintless dent repair company, taking out door dings and hail damage out of cars for body shops, insurance companies, dealerships. And it's an art process of taking the door dings out of the cars. And the other alternative is conventional body repair. So they have to get Bondo, they have to turn it in on their insurance. They've got multiple days without their car. They have to get a car rental. A lot of things coming. So objections, when I know somebody's going to come to me when I give them a price on taking a door ding out of their car, they're going to say it's too high. That's too much. That's going to cost, wow. You know, let's just use a round number, and they say it's $100 is too much. Well, instead of arguing with them, I say, yeah, I understand. I know it is expensive, and I do understand that. The other alternative is you can leave it and devalue the car when you trade it in, or you can go to the body shop and they'll want to paint the car. They'll want to, you have to turn it, all the other things that come with conventional body repair. So all I'm doing is I'm obviously agreeing with them and not arguing with them, but I just agree with them and then let them know that I'll take their weapons away. Everybody shows up with weapons of some kind in their mind, no matter what. But that's a fun way of doing it, is just giving them the alternative and subconsciously let them feel like it was their idea to begin with, to just go ahead and move on with your idea. So,
no, that's perfect. And with that, I think that we have to. I mean, I just love Chris. You've come. It's so funny, guys. Just give you a little history of that. I met Chris when he started his first company in our Myrtle Beach area, and to see where the guy has gone from a father, a husband, a business person, and now a coach for salespeople in the real estate market. I'm just I'm blown away by this guy's growth. And to talk about that, you can't see my hands, but it's like on a scale of 1 to 10, the dude's up there at a 10 and teaching people. And I love that, because you're talking to me too. Those presentations, sometimes we get so comfortable and so cocky that we think we can go in and we can handle it because of our ego, right? But I think we all need to be prepared when we go in with that arsenal, like you just said, for sure.
Love that, by the way. That was great.
What else we got going on, guys? We got talking about, we talked about some closing objections. I think something that I wrote down here was build relationships. So Gina talked about, building whatever you're doing with your closing is that you're building it where people want to do business with you. So would it be stretching it a little bit if part of our sales process started not even meeting with the client? Like, part of our sales process started with our blabs,
yeah, John, I was just going to say that a sales process could be starting right at this very moment. So for people who are actually watching this that don't know the four of us, this might be their time to get to know us and get slightly intrigued by us, to want to continue watching us and following us, and the nurture sequence starts now. So a lot of the ways I do business is I get hired to speak a lot. I do a lot of speaking for free. That's a key way that I start to meet people and create relationships. And I nurture that over a long period of time. And a lot of my clients end up coming to me and asking to work with me without me ever selling.
Right. Yeah.
So your process really can start at any moment. It's how you show up.
So it's almost like that you're nurturing the for lack of, it's the right word. We're nurturing the brand, and which ultimately turns into an organic sale, because you build such a brand and recognition that people, they're already sold on your expertise. Jason Head fixing the dents, Chris Hart coaching the real estate folks, and Gina creating teams for other businesses. They're sold that you guys are experts in that. But it didn't start at the first meeting. It started way back 5-6 months ago by planting seeds. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's awesome. So I guess we can even elaborate on that, saying that by starting back then and doing these talks and doing blabs and posts and videos on social media about our brand and our expertise, that we can almost hit those objections from there in our process, our reflexes.
Yeah, John, it goes back to what I said earlier, is that oftentimes people buy, the objections are already gone because they've connected with you, they feel safe with you, they trust you, they trust your expertise, and so it's just when the time is right to make the purchase, you're the first person that they think about. That's the impact that you want to have. I recently bought a car in the past 6 months, and the car dealer that I was working with was so amazing. He still he still text messages me to see if I need anything. How's the car? You know, he saw me in church one day. He messaged me. He saw me at church. He hopes I'm doing well. Like, he continues to nurture that relationship because he knows I can refer him, which I do constantly, and I will buy my next car from him. It's a continuous relationship.
All right. That's awesome. That's
John, let me jump in on that if you don't.
Absolutely, bro.
You know, one of the questions I'll throw out to the community is, do you know the lifetime value of it? Right? And so what happens a lot of times is in the sales world, let's just say, for instance, I'm trying to sell Gina on some product. And I'm just trying to sell her, and I close her, and it's like, yay, and I move on, and I go and then try and sell Jason, and then I go try and sell John. And what happens is we don't know the lifetime value of our clients. Like, how many sales are in your client directly and indirectly, right? So if I'm in coaching, and so there's one of my clients on here, Tim Cruz, right? How many clients am I expecting to get out of Tim, right? And so not only am I nurturing the relationship with Tim because I'm in business with him, but I also know the value, the lifetime value of being in relationship with Tim, knowing that, hey, I should get 2 referrals. I should have 2 other clients because of Tim. And what that does is it lightens the load on our prospecting and our marketing with regard to, you know, if you're looking at budgeting and time, energy, and resources sort of thing. So if you understand the lifetime value, you're going to start building relationships differently. It's not just going to be about the sale. It's going to be like past the sale, because the relationship's being built to close the sale, but continue to build that relationship because there's 2 other people past Gina.
Right. Gina just messaged us that she's got to jump off. I want to thank you so much. You always add so much value and content to what we do here, and I appreciate your time.
Thanks. It's always great being on with you, John. Great talking to you guys. We'll blab next week.
Awesome. Thank you. But,
all right, bye, guys.
Guys, we'll keep going on, and I love the direction that we're going and with this, Chris. You know, it's good. It's really good stuff. What? How about Jason? Anything out there that you want to talk about, or talk about closing techniques, or more important? I think I want to address maybe the new people, the new folks in sales, or maybe folks that have been in for a while that are frustrated. Like, if any of you guys that are watching right now or joining us, send us a question, or right over here, you could type in your questions on the left side. It tells you what to do, and we could post that question. Also, if one of you guys want to jump in and ask us on the live feed, we'll be happy to take you. But Jason, you have a bunch of people that you influence and lead. Talk about what some of the frustrations that you're hearing.
Well,
and I'm sorry, that's open-ended, because you and I did talk a little bit about one of the things that you had a few of your new people in one of your organizations talk about is that they got their feelings hurt, and in the closing process, I think that's a big thing, because we're brand new in sales and we try to close something. And what does it mean to have confidence? Because you come, and so does Chris and Gina, come with so much confidence, and it's not arrogance, it's confidence. There's a big difference there. You talk about that.
That's the number one reason why people do give up on whatever it is that they're trying to sell. And we all know that somebody's selling something. Somebody's going to make the sale. Somebody's going to convince you why they're not going to buy or are not going to do it. Either you're going to convince them to do it. So, and either way, that's happening. And when somebody goes out to their friend, their first sale or whatever it is that they're out there doing, and they get their feelings hurt, they start having conversations with themselves. Those conversations, if we could only imagine the conversations, if we could write down the conversations that we have with ourselves on paper, it would shock us. But we got to know that the person who just joins our team, that just comes into business with us, whatever it is, that they're brand new. They don't understand what they're doing. They don't have a full grasp on what they're going to be enduring. And when their broke best friend tells them they're an idiot, then they start having that conversation with themselves. And that's where, like Gina and Chris was saying, that the relationship that you have with the person, you got to be there with them. Just, me and you talk, if somebody gets their nose bloodied, and they stay down, that we're looking for people that get back up. That's right. Soldiers. We're looking for people that don't get their feelings hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You can just keep knocking them down, keep knocking them down, and they just keep getting back up. And that's with any sales background. Of you got to be tough. You got to be mentally tough, and trainings of some kind. You got to be in some sort of a training atmosphere, whether it's some sort of audio, whether it's online training, whether it's like this. I call you all the time. Me and you talking, we lean on each other, and if you're down, I'm up. If vice versa. But you got to have somebody there with you to help pick you up sometimes.
A running buddy. Chris, as a coach, you're responsible for helping people sell millions of dollars in real estate. What do you do when you get those frustrations from people? Because I know you get that call saying the people they don't have the money, they can't do it, or whatever. When you get that call from that client that you're coaching and you're going to help them, what's some advice that you can give to some of these people that aren't paying? Let's give some free nuggets out here. Some of these people on here are not paying you for your advice right now, but I want you to give them some free nuggets to show them that, you got your deal.
Even with regard to the question you just asked Jason about, people that get their feelings hurt. People get their feelings hurt when they're attached to the sale, right? And you have to be attached to a higher purpose. And I don't necessarily mean God. Yeah, of course, having God in your life is always great. And I always encourage that. But you have to have a purpose of why you're selling or what you're selling, right? And so if it's not about the sale and it's about a purpose, then you're not putting very much meaning into one sale, right? Because you're not going to allow one rejection to take you off course. And really what it boils down to is, why are you doing this, right? Like, John, why are you spending so much time and investing so much energy and resources into growing Duplicates Inc. and doing what you do on the Dream Vacation side and invest all that time? You have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? And if you're doing it just for the sale, or you're doing it because, someone told me I can make a lot of money in real estate, that's when you're dead in the water. That's when, as soon as you start getting rejected, that's when people fail. But when you're saying, you know what? I don't wake up every morning and coach people. I wake up every morning and share value that I can bring to someone's life, because I truly want to be an impact in the world and leave a legacy. Awesome. So if someone says, you know what, Chris, I'm not getting much out of your coaching, I'm going to try a different coach. I don't get offended, right? I said, look, it wasn't a match. I'm not going to let that knock me down. I have to keep going, because if you wake up every day thinking that life is going to meet your expectations, you're in for a rough fight.
Right. So
the expectation I have is that there's going to be times where I'm going to be rejected. And so if I get rejected, then that's met my expectations. I just keep going on because I have to meet my purpose, not the sale.
So understand your why. I guess it's, and we've heard this from sales extraordinaires like Ziegler and Robbins, that if you're doing it for the money, it's a short-lived
because money comes and goes.
Right.
And if you're doing it for that and it comes and goes, you're going to come and go.
Yeah, but perfect. So understand your why, and Jason Head was big about that. Jason Head, you share a story from the stage, and you shared this in front of thousands of people, that there was a lady that you saw one time talk, and she impacted you so much that it brought you to tears. And guys, I'm just here telling you, anybody watching this blab right now, this guy is a country farm boy that they don't come to tears. And a lady's words did. And I don't mean to put you in a vulnerable spot there, but Jason, just share what she said and what that did, and how that effectively closed you on making a difference in your whole family's future.
That's the day that I was changed forever. She said this statement: who are you going to let decide what's best for you and your family? But she said it with passion. when she said, "Who are you going to let decide what's best for you and your family?" my mind opened up in a whole different way. I started thinking about my kids and their kids, and my wife having to get up every day and go to work and work for somebody else and build their dreams. And the guy was kind of a jerk. I didn't like him anyway. And I knew that if I could apply what I was learning and teach people how to teach other people, it would duplicate. And we talk about duplicating in every business, including duplicates, where you're at, John. But duplication, duplicate or clone. You can clone and start teams. You can do one sale one time, or you can create teams. Duplicate. But yeah, that statement, man, I'm starting to kind of tear up a little bit now, because I feel it all over again. And that passion that she had was, I had not cried since I was 17 years old, and I couldn't stop it.
Wow.
I was changed forever just by me thinking, and she subconsciously got to me when nobody else in the world could have emotionally affected me the way that did.
Well, and I know we're sidetracked a little bit, but we're talking about making some decisions. And the last blab we did, I want to thank Chris Hart, because I had some technical issues and I couldn't get on, and he just ran with it, dude. First or second time he was on blab, and he became the host immediately. And that's what Marines do. And thank you for your service, but that's what leaders do, man. When we have to adapt and overcome at any moment. The guy could have bailed on me and just said it ain't working, and he took it and he became the host. But we make decisions, and you said something. You got to decide if you're in sales. Do you want to be a professional, or you want to just dip your toe in this thing in sales, whatever you're selling? And Chris Hart talked at the last one about decide, and you broke decide down. And and Jason and I always talk to our teams about this, what decide means. Will you share that with our viewers today about making a decision to be a great closer?
Yeah. So I think it's Latin. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but roll with it anyway. I think the Latin meaning of decide is to cut off, right? So you actually have to ask yourself, when I decide to do this, what am I cutting off, right? If I decide to go into business, what else am I cutting off? If I have to decide to do lead generation every morning, what am I cutting off, right? It just becomes about that unilateral vision of this is what I'm doing. There's no other options. And that was in conjunction with the burn the boats theory that we were talking about last week. So, when you look at closing and closing the sale, you have to ask yourself at the beginning, what are you willing to cut off, right? What are you willing to cut off your feelings and your I got offended because someone rejected me? Honestly, I really think you have to numb your emotions to people and what they say to you, because, John, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, in sales, people will say some choice stuff to you. And it's not because we're arrogant or jerks to them. It's just there's some conditions that live in their head. And I've just made the decision, way back when, to cut that stuff off. You can say what you want to me. You're not going to offend me, because it's you. It's what's in your head. And I'm moving forward because I have a greater purpose. I have a why that I'm moving towards. And I'm not going to let you, right, like what Jason was just saying, I'm not letting you or anyone else slow me down.
Right. We got, let's see, So Wooks. I apologize if I got that spell. Says, you guys intimidate me. I'll buy anything from you. I'm a woman compared to these men. And I think that it's, I don't think that there's an advantage either way. I think that when you have a confidence, that there shouldn't be any intimidation at all. And sometimes, you're looking at, for lack of a better word, the three guys on here right now are three alpha males. But Gina, that was on just a little while ago, she's an alpha female for sure, right? And it's just that level of confidence. And sometimes we speak from a point of leadership. And I think in the sales process also that when we speak from a point of leadership, that earns a lot of respect for people, because most people are followers. They're not leaders. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't come from intimidation, because if we're good communicators and good closers and good salespeople, we also make ourselves vulnerable. Just as Jason said earlier, that I understand, feel, felt, found. I know how you feel. I was in the same boat. I didn't have enough money to do a project that I wanted to do. But what I found out was my life was going to be more miserable without doing that than doing it. Like, there's a cost to buy whatever there is that you're buying. There's a cost not to. Sometimes we got to weigh out those costs, right? What does it cost more? Does it cost more not to go to an abundance retreat with Chris Hart that he was so graciously asked me to join? That's a bigger cost than not going. When those costs outweigh one another, that's when you make your decision, right? And I just think that's definitely, I never ever want to come across as intimidating at all, right? Just from a point of leadership, I guess. Anything you guys want to add to that? You guys see the comments over there.
Well, I would just go ahead, Jason.
No, I was just going to say, if I'm closing a female on an idea or something, notice this, guys. If I stand sideways to a female to my side and I talk to her like this, it's a whole lot less intimidating to talk to a female like this versus
in your face.
It's intimidating. So I do understand it. You do have to treat women are obviously totally different than guys when it comes to closing. But me and John both. I've watched John operate in a way that it's art. To be able to adapt to somebody that he didn't even know, and to walk over and immediately they liked him immediately, just because somebody else had to get out of the way. But John, we've watched women try to close other women, and they can't. Women like to talk. Well, guys, John, me and you could go play golf. Me and you could go play golf, and I could come home, and my wife would say, "So, how's John?" "He's fine." And I'd go back to the TV, and she'd say, "Well, what are they up to?" "Nothing." "Well, what'd y'all talk about?" "Stuff. We just played golf stuff." But if women get together, they talk about absolutely everything. So we're just geared totally different. But I watch you operate in a way that's a chameleon, like Chris was saying earlier, just being able to adapt to all different objections, and just impressive watching you work. But I kind of got off on a tangent there. But if there's guys listening, if you want to close a female, do it from the side instead of squared up to her. It's just totally different.
Chris, you teach a lot of people how to sell, hundreds, $1 million pieces of real estate. Some of the biggest decisions that people make in their life is buying their home, their dream home. What are the closing techniques that you would share? And I know you get paid for this, so I'm not trying to get you to give away your free stuff, but I know you're passionate about it also. So closing techniques to people that are out there that are making one of the biggest decisions in their life. Maybe they're a first-time home buyer. Maybe they just went through a divorce or something, and it's their biggest thing in their world at that moment. What do you tell that realtor?
Well, first, let me back up for a second. And I kind of want to touch on a little bit of what So Luke's had said, and then I'll kind of segue into this. It doesn't matter if it's male, female, black, white, large, small. We're people, right? And at the end of the day, in order to influence people, you have to know what influences them, right? And it first starts with personality, right? So there's understanding the DISC, the D-I-S-C, the DISC assessment, whether someone's dominant, whether someone's an influencer, they're steady, they're compliant. So it's really about learning and understanding people first, because it shouldn't matter whether I'm a male, someone else is a female, or vice versa. If I know what influences you, I can influence you. And a lot of that has to deal with, some NLP stuff too that relates to mirror and matching and whatnot. But really at the end of the day, closing them is about being them. Right? And so, again, that doesn't matter if you're male or female. Like, I can't be a female, clearly, right? I'm not going to play a female, but I can match what I'm picking up from this person's body postures, right? So if I have someone that's leaning in, I'm leaning in. If someone's leaning back, I'm leaning back. If someone's posturing up on me, I may not want to do that. I may look to mirror them and just take, kind of a soft approach, or, maybe I move and shift to the side and cross my legs just to kind of take them off their aggressive posture. So really at the end of the day, if you want to influence people, be them, right? No one influences them. Pick up on what influences them. There's body posture, sensory acuity. There's so many different variables involved. But at the end of the day, if you can just read people, whether it's on the phone and you're listening to their tonalities, their inflections, their paces, etc., or it's how they're presenting themselves.
Right.
If you're laughing and joking, right? Or if they're like very bubbly, be bubbly with them. You can't. Yeah. And they're laughing and bubbly. There's no rapport there.
What do you think about the people that would consider? And I get this a lot because I do sales a lot, right? And they do the hard close. Look, man, don't hard close me. And I don't feel that there is a hard close, and I really have to. If I get that way, maybe it's sometimes because I'm an aggressive guy. I'm not aggressive in a bad way. I don't think, but I command or control a conversation because typically in my space. I'm the expert in it when we're talking about marketing or anything like that. So I'll control that conversation. But you got to, at the end, I guess you got to ask for the sale, right? At the end of the day, you can't be passive. I don't think a good salesperson asks, what do you think? Right? Are you ready? Are you ready to get this going? Are you ready to make this your dream house? Are you ready to get started? Are you ready to join the team? Are you ready to get those sales that you want so badly? I can help you. Right? So I think that the folks fear that, like some of the new salespeople may fear that, or even people forget about that part of it. We have our consumers, guys, with business in all, the consumer, be it business to business or business to consumer, they're becoming more and more what's the word I'm looking for? A smarter buyer, right? They're more intelligent on their buyer. They've got the internet. They think that they don't know what they don't know, and they think they know everything. Yeah, because they read it on the internet. So what do we do? What do we do to hone our skills, Chris?
Well, let me throw this out, right? I'm a huge proponent of understanding personality because it is what influences people. So I'll throw this out there, John. If you want to share my email, if not, I'll put it on the little message thread on the side. I have this one pager. It's a quadrant. It helps you understand the DISC. And so what I'll touch on about the hard close, there's a time and place for hard closes, right? If you're talking to a high D who's a dominant individual, they're straight to the point, result-oriented, they want the hard close. Excuse me, especially if you're going to be representing them in the sale of a $500,000, $750,000 property, your ability, they're going to size you up. Your ability to close them is their judgment of you and how you're going to fight for them. But then again, that's completely different to someone who's an S personality, who's a steady, stable, good listener, who's just kind of your even-keeled. You hard close that person, there's no connectivity, right? So I'll be glad to share that document with you guys so you guys can better understand people. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I hate to reiterate this, but I'm just a huge believer in it, that you really have to be intuitive of the person, right? Does it matter about age? I think not. And the reason why I say that, because someone who is a DI or an SC or an IS, and those are the personality assessment, they're an IS whether they're 21 years old or they're 61 years old. Okay, so I believe it always comes down to personality. Where age is going to make a difference is in their maturity level, in their logic and emotion, right? Because there's two driving forces. Logic makes them think, emotion makes them act. And younger people have a tendency to act more on the emotional side. Older individuals have a tendency to act more on the logical side. So that's just another intuition piece when you're working with individuals and the age group, as well as knowing what influences, right? Does Facebook influence the teenage individual? No, Snapchat does, right? They're all on. So it's about knowing the segment of your market as well, right? But if I'm trying to Snapchat and, if I'm trying to get on Snapchat and my target market is 55 and older, disconnect, right? So there's some variables involved that you need to understand with regard to people. And again, it all boils down to what influences them.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. How about Jason? Anything you want to add to that question about what do you feel about age?
Vision. You got to cast huge vision for younger generation. I'm 35 years old, so my generation now, if I'm talking to somebody my age group, I'm talking about finances, family, freedom. And if I'm talking to somebody who's 21 or younger, let's just say 25 or younger, I'm talking about fun. I'm talking about partying. I'm talking about getting together and hanging out with friends, working on the car, having a beer, chilling out, doing that kind of stuff, casting that kind of vision, because that's what they do. They get together, they hang out, they text, just like Chris was saying about Snapchat. That is huge. You've got to be able to speak their language. You got to be able to speak their language and merge into their kind of conversations. And if you don't know who's the who on their favorite football team, you're out. I mean, you can talk about Peyton Manning all you want to, but they're talking about college football. You got to know their teams. You got to know all that little stuff like that to fit in with conversations. But great point, Chris. I like that. That was spot on, man.
Thank you.
Cool. Hey, I just saw a guy jump on here, Ron Beck, and I don't know if you're still on, Ron, or not. I'm not sure if you're the Ron Beck that I went to Coastal Carolina with. And if you are, just give me a little side message, because this guy, if he's the guy, he was part of a huge organization that was in the – yes, I am, man. That's my brother, man. Long time we played football together at Coastal, and he was part of a big organization up in the Charlotte area. And Ron talked about they did real estate, Chris. You'd be interested in this. So they would go in and do this real estate deal with one-day sales. So their close was a different approach. It was more of a fear of loss type of the buyer was going to be scared that they were going to miss out on this awesome lake property. Millions and millions of dollars they were super successful with, and I'm glad that Ron's on here, and I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so much checking us out. So back over to a question we have. Do you get involved with your clients anytime privately to close a deal, meals, golf, tennis, etc., and activities you do with your clients that make them more comfortable with you? So for me, I'll take that in the beginning, is that I think that you have to be cautious nowadays where you do that, but we also have to keep in mind the lifetime value of the customer, right? And how much time are we putting into it? Like we, as a professional salesperson, we've got to know, is there a chance that this guy's going to buy it? But if there's a chance that we can grow this client to be a top 5 account, I'm going to spend some time with them for sure. Not that those other clients don't deserve it, but my time's very valuable, and who I spend it with has to give me a big rate of return. Now, in today's times, and I'm not going down the politically correct road or not, I think today's that we have to be very cautious on what we do. Like I don't know that I would go and pick up a younger female client from her office and take her to lunch and drive her, right? I don't think that that's appropriate. It might not send the right message, but also in today's times for John, I think that would be a big exposure problem, that liability, right? So why don't you guys talk about that a little bit?
Matt. No, I'm just kidding.
No, don't want to talk about it. That's cool.
I wouldn't put myself in that position. I'm always looking at how people looking at me, and again, duplication. You duplicate that in your businesses, then your credibility goes out the window just because of assumption.
Now, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just going to say I think it's situational for me. My clients are worth anywhere between $6 to $15,000 a year. Okay. Depending on what coaching package they purchase, et cetera. So you have to look at it like, all right, the $6,000 a year client, they'll get attention. Am I going to go and spend a lot of money on travel? And because all my clients are all over the country, even outside the country. So for me, there's a greater expense involved in the meals, golf, tennis, et cetera. If I have someone who I'm coaching, for instance, is the leader of a real estate office, and there's 221 individuals in their office, like one of my clients is, you darn Skippy, we're going out for dinner when I come into town, right? But what that's going to look like, I'm going to offer to come teach in his real estate office. I'll say, hey, who can I pour into? Let's all go out to dinner. Let's invite 10 people. You pick up the bill, buy my dinner, and I'll pour into 10 of your people for however long we're out at dinner. So I use that as a means to bring value, just kind of, like today. Like I throw anything I can at you guys. I'll be here as long as you need me to bring value. But I'm going to be honest, there's an end game, right? At dinner, the end game is I'm scouting who's my next client. So right. Look at it and saying that's understanding the lifetime value of your client. You're still running a business at the end of the day. Yes, it's about relationships, but you're also looking at it and saying, and don't take this the wrong way, guys, but what more can we bring as far as value to the client, and what else can we get with regard to growth and duplication, like Jason was saying. So it has to be a two-way street. That's the way I look at it. Did I lose internet?
No, you're good. Can you hear me? I want to address what somebody just typed down here asking, how do you find out if somebody has too much time on their hands, or are they a serious buyer? Find out what they do.
Yeah.
Once you find out what they do, you can draw a pretty big conclusion on what, do you work first shift? Do you work second shift? You got kids? What do you do for fun? And you can, if they tell you they're on disability, then, you can kind of weigh out what they're doing just by asking simple questions. But that's a good question.
Yeah, I think I'll add to that is you should have questions in your quote unquote sales process that identify, are you dealing with a tire kicker? Are you dealing with a potential client? Or are you dealing with someone that's ready to pull the trigger right now? So how do you see just questions? Just questions that I orient in my sales process. So I think we lost John. The gentleman's name, Dini1394, which is John's friend, wrote on here, people buy from people they like. We've talked about that before, as a matter of fact, with Ron. Thank you. I apologize. So we were talking about that before, about people buy from people they like, and that's about being like them. That's the way I look at it is, there's times that I'm going to come across people in the sales process that are nothing like me. Doesn't mean I can't influence them. It means I just have to be more like them.
Right. I got back on. Sorry about that. We had a little bump in the internet here. So Soluk said one more thing is, how do you see if someone is a serious buyer counter to someone who's just much time on their hands? And I think that once you do sales and you're seasoned, that you can pretty much identify the tire kickers and the people that are serious. So you could spend the time on the ones that are going to be better. The one thing I want to go back really fast for, something that we're trying to get a little creative with at Duplicates is that, and I think Ronnie will like this, is that we actually are looking at maybe doing a suite at the local Myrtle Beach Pelicans, and it holds 20 people. And I was going to invite 10 of my clients. So 5 of them, my top 5. The other 5, people that are already clients but can have the opportunity to be in the top 10. And then the other 10 be guests of people that are suspects or prospects that we think we don't do any business with, and we think that they'll do business with us. And that way they can integrate with clients that are advocates and folks that like us a lot, and they can hear how great we are, the service that we do and provide. And so we're going to do some stuff like that. So that's like a group setting that's just a little bit outside of the box of a lot of other people in my segment of marketing and printing. So just to add that, and Ronnie, the invitation's always open for you to stop down here, bro, and come with me. And so Ronnie did say this: I believe strongly in not connecting with clients or potential clients on social media either. That should remain separate from work, relationships, and connections. And I don't think there's a wrong answer or a right answer here, right? I think that there's what you feel comfortable is good. I think today we have to really farm our way, and that's one of the channels of communication. A couple labs ago, we talked about the different forms of communication, the different channels. Nowadays, you almost have to speak on every different channel because you don't know your prospect's most preferred channel. So I've got a guy that went to Coastal with us, Ronnie, and I can't send him a text. I could send him a text. I could send him an email. He doesn't respond. If I send him an instant message on Facebook, boom, that dude's right on. You guys want to talk to that, what you think about that? Jason?
I've got some people that really get discouraged if somebody does not reply back to them. And that's where going back to duplication, going back to the beginning, in starting teams, is you having that one person that you're relying on is going to cripple you, because that one person, life happens and gets in the way. But, they may be cleaning up their kids' mess that they got sick in the floor. I mean, the dog may be running through the neighborhood and they're chasing it and they're just not responding right then. And you've got some people that really bothers them, that nobody replies back to them on certain things. And sometimes they don't even know to reply unless you ask a question. Always end your messages with a question, and don't always send the repetitive messages all the time. Sometimes out of the blue, just ask them a simple question. Just ask them something, a random question. If you see something on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is, if you see something that, that's a conversation starter, and you can go into a question, just a simple question, to get a response.
Yeah, I like that.
Call to action, Ronnie. Yeah, it's good. Making quota versus keeping customer happy. What should one focus on? So we're starting to get into some sales stuff, and I'm okay with that if you guys are. It's outside of what we were talking about, our topic, ABCs of closing. But making quota, keeping customers happy, what to focus on. So I think you got to focus on both. And to I guess to add on that, follow up on serious buyer, and when do you stop pursuing a customer? I believe never. Even if you don't make the sale, my goal is to, if I can't become the provider, and I never say vendor, either provider or a partner, I want to be in the second position, because this is what I know, is that other guy, if that person bought because of price, that they're going to fall short one day, and then who are they going to go to? The guy that kept up with them, the guy that sent them a handwritten note, the guy that said happy birthday to them, the guy that stopped by their office and just said, hey, man, we want to see what you're doing. Here's some tickets to the baseball game, right? So I'll always follow up and be that backup provider, and we've won some major accounts because of that.
Here's what I'll throw out. For anybody that's out there building a company, and you're looking to hire salespeople, one of the best questions you can ask them is, when do you stop following up with someone? Because when you brought that up, literally simultaneously, Jason and I smiled, and it was like a smirk. Reason being is, a true salesperson, Jason, let me ask you a question. When do you stop following up on someone?
Never.
Never, right?
Absolutely never.
Second you ask a good salesperson that question, they're going to smirk and say never. Either when they tell you to stop following up with them, or they die. That's it. You just keep following up. That's just your sales process. So, I think that's it. I love that question. When I'm building sales teams in the real estate field, I ask them, all right, so if you're going to be a phone prospector, when do you stop following up with a lead? And if he smirks and says never, that's the guy I want.
Right. Yeah, it's a continuous thing, and I just think that you just always in there, because people, after most companies, when they get the sale, now it's like the one night stand, right? They get the sale, and now they're in the system, and now they're off to the next best sale, and that person that just made that decision wants to feel special. And when they stop feeling special, people remember how you make them feel, right? And when you stop making them feel special and they just feel like a number, they're going to start looking for other folks to make them feel special. You got to make them all feel special. Today's environment is so competitive that you got to do what the others people won't do, right? The other competitors in the marketplace. So, man, we've been on here for an hour, guys, and I know both of you guys are super busy, and you know me, I can keep going and going and going. It's Friday. We got some things that we got to wrap up in production, and everybody always in duplicates here now looks at me and they go, "Why are you doing that blab thing?" And well, all of you guys know why we're doing it, right? We're just trying to help other people that are going through life of business with some nuggets, some good value, and hopefully you guys are getting it. We're starting to get a little following, and we got some good experts on here, and we just invite you to keep on joining us. We try to do this on Mondays and Fridays at 2 p.m. It's the Naked Truth. Go ahead and subscribe to our blab, and you'll be notified when we do this. And we're open to any topic. So anything you guys want to throw out there, let us know. Jason or Chris, I appreciate your time. Do you guys want to talk about anything before we wrap it up?
I'll throw something out there. I'd love to participate in another blab on leadership. Right. I think if you look at the current state of our country, I think leadership is a great topic that we all could learn from.
Yeah, I love it. We'll work on that one maybe Monday. And Jason Head, thank you for the first time being on here. Anything you want to say? I know you're going to be down in Myrtle Beach this weekend. And
about to say I'm out. I'm going on vacation. I'll see you.
Great. So this is how we wrap it up now, guys. Let's get naked. And what we're going to do is talk really fast. We talked about calm down, Hart. What we're going to do is we're going to talk get naked. I'm sorry, you threw me off for a minute. We're going to get naked and talk about we build relationships. When we're talking about closing, we start from the beginning, right? We want to listen twice as much as we talk. 2 ears, 1 mouth. And guys, just make sure that what you're doing, it's with purpose. And also, that you do this, you understand your why, that you're not doing it just for the money. Chris, I appreciate all the nuggets you dropped, brother. And, happy anniversary. Tell the wife I said hello. And, guys, we look forward to seeing all of you guys on the next blab, Mondays and Fridays, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you.